to another episode of Car Ski Go. We're back in the garage today. I'm in my Sunday best because we're going to be doing some work to fix this place up. Focus of today's video is going to be the floor. We're going to put an epoxy coating down. This is going to be probably about a week-long process. Today we got to clean the floor, let it dry. Tomorrow, maybe tonight, prime it, let that dry. Put the epoxy coating down with some Fleck, and then let that dry, and then a 2-part top coat, and then there's a drying period before we can put a car back into it. So it's like a little bit of work every day for a couple of days, and then a very long drying period. But I think the results are going to be pretty good, and I'm pretty excited for this. I've wanted a coated garage for quite a while now. So just to give you guys an idea of what the floor looks like now, let me come behind the camera. So as you can see, it's just a pretty standard garage floor. That's not a crack, that's a cord for the vacuum. Got a little bit of staining in it, but not too bad. Concrete's about 3 years old, that's how old the house is. So what we're gonna be doing today is vacuuming it, getting a pressure washer, going over it with the pressure washer, and then the kit comes with something called a muriatic acid, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And we're gonna put that down, which is gonna kind of etch the concrete a little bit, and then everything is gonna dry. So I don't think there's anything else left to say besides let's get to work. A couple hours after the end of the last clip there, I went to go etch the floor per the instructions, and I found out that they forgot to include the etching solution in the kit. So I had to run over to the warehouse just to find out that nobody was there on the weekend. Luckily, they were able to get me an email and told me what the material was I could pick up at the local home improvement store. So while I'm disappointed in the cost of this kit that they couldn't get me all the material they said they were going to, at least I can continue on with only a couple-hour delay instead of a 2 or 3 day delay. So, just to recap, we vacuumed, we pressure washed to get loose dirt off. I put a driveway concrete cleaner down as a first step. We're gonna wet this down again because it's kind of dry a little bit as it was just in the hour or so that I was out. And we're gonna put down the, mix the etching solution in 3 gallons of water, spread it out, brush it on, let it do its thing, rinse it out, and then we are done for today. All right, let's get to work. I don't know if you can hear that or if you saw it, but you pour the acid on the floor and it's starting to fizz. It's actually making a noise. So it's doing something. Hey everybody, welcome back to day 2. It's pretty early in the morning, so I'm trying to keep my voice down. Where we left off yesterday was I had put the acid down on the floor, which is supposed to be an etching solution. Made some interesting noises, created some fizzing, as James May would say. And yeah, then I ran out of memory card, so we didn't get to see the end result. So here it is. The concrete's definitely a lot lighter. Some of the stained areas are lighter. There are still some kind of like black marks down on the ground. However, I've run a paper towel over them and nothing is coming up, so I think we're fine. So next step, which is not necessarily needed, but I'm doing it for peace of mind, is priming. It's just gonna cover over any of these spots here, any irregularities in the concrete, kind of seal it up a little bit and give a nice base for the epoxy that goes on top. So it's a 2-part primer. I'm gonna mix it and put it down, and then we gotta wait 8 to 12 hours before we can get to the color step. Let's get to work. Good morning, everybody. It's about 5:30 in the morning or so I'm trying to be quiet. Trying to get an early jump on the work today before I go to my normal job. So where we left off is day 1 was cleaning. We did the concrete cleaner. We did the acid etch. It was a day of drying. Day 2, we put down the primer, 2-part. As you can see, came out pretty good. It's a little splotchy, but that's okay at this stage because it's just a primer. Some issues that I am running into, well, I wouldn't say issues, they're more challenges. Temperature. So the kit is somewhere between 50 degree and 90 degrees temperature. It's roughly 58 in the garage right now. The problem is it's about 35 outside, which wouldn't be a problem except the primer stinks like crazy. It's definitely not low VOC. I think they do have a low VOC option, and I would get it because the whole house stinks. And I can't open the garage door because then it brings the temperature inside the garage too low. It does get warm during the day. It gets up to about 60 now, so I don't know. It's tough. I have a little bit of, I'm a little anxious about the results. But so far it seems to be okay. I'm just letting everything dry twice as long as they call for. So after about 12 hours yesterday with the primer, I came out and I put my foot down in socks, and it was a little tacky, but nothing was transferring to the sock, but I could definitely see like a sock print. So I let it go overnight. Now we're looking at about 24 hours and I can walk on it, no problem. So today is going to be the color day and the Fleck day. So this is the Fleck that I got. It's white, black, and blue. I'm going to go for a heavy coating of it, and I'm going to practice a little bit. This is dry enough where I can sprinkle it down and sweep it up, just to kind of get a handle on the technique. And then we're going to start mixing epoxy and putting it down. So this stuff has got a much shorter working time than the primer, so I have to mix small batches and do small little areas. And we'll see how it goes. Let's get to work. And that is that. Came out so far better than I thought it would. There are some clumpy patches where I didn't really spread it out, but I don't know, it adds to the randomness of everything. So now it's just a matter of waiting 24 hours, probably gonna be 24 hours with the temperatures outside. And then this is gonna get a 2-part military grade top coat. So we'll come back then. Same clothes, different day. Welcome to day 3. So far we've cleaned, we primered, we epoxied and flake. Today we are doing a top coat. So far everything has gone pretty smooth. I was a little worried about the temperature, but this thing has dried up rock hard after 24 hours, so I think we're good there. Next thing is going to be this 2-part epoxy clear coat or top coat. It's supposed to be military grade, the same thing they used in hangars on military bases apparently. So if I believe the marketing, it should hold up pretty well in my residential 2-car garage. So anyway, let me give you guys a look at the floor looks like. Again, one of the things I'm going to improve in this garage is lighting, and maybe I should have started with that project. So this is what we're looking at so far. It's got a pretty good gloss to it. The coating that I'm putting on does have like an anti-slip additive in it, so it might kill the gloss a little bit, which honestly isn't that bad of a thing in my opinion. So there's a couple areas here, like right here, where the chips got a little clumpy and they're kind of standing up. So what I'm going to do is just take a scraper and kind of go over that real quick. And then I have to vacuum the entire floor to get any other loose chips up. And then we start putting down the top coat. So without further ado, let's get started. Here we got today's equipment. We've got the base material, the hardener, an additive that increases wear, and it's got some anti-slip properties. I believe it's actually some kind of powderized metal suspended in a liquid, from what I read. So that's kind of interesting, as opposed to just kind of like a silica grit or something like that, which I think the standard top coat comes with. So this is going to be mixed at a 2-to-1 ratio, and it actually, they call to use a pan. This is the first time that we have to use a painting pan. There is no squeegee like yesterday, it's just a roll-on application, so I'll be cutting in with the brush and rolling on with the roller. And I think I'm actually going to need a bigger bucket to mix in, so I'll be right back. Okay, so like the normal epoxy, I'm going to work this in small batches because it does tend to harden up quick on you. I noticed that yesterday when I was getting to the end of the batch that I had made in the bucket, it was starting to thicken up significantly. So I'm going to work in small quantities, half a can of the additive per gallon of base, 2 parts base, 1 part hardener, mix, pan, down on the floor. So let's get started. Oh, and respirator is definitely needed when you're doing this stuff. This stuff stinks a lot. So I'm not wearing it right now because I'm talking to you guys on camera. But the minute I start putting it down on the floor, respirators going on. Definitely best to do this job when the temperatures are up, just to let everything dry, but also to be able to open the windows. So this is weird, this can's only half full. It says to use half of a can of this per gallon of this, and I don't know if they mean gallon can or full gallon of liquid. So I might be a little bit delayed on this. Get back to you in a minute. All right, I'm glad I stopped and called. So apparently what happened was there are 300 square foot kits and there are 600 square foot kits. I ordered a 600 square foot kit, which would normally be packaged differently. They ran out of the 600 square foot kit, the top coat, so they gave me two 300 square foot kits. So I have half a gallon of base in here, half a gallon of base in here, that's a full gallon. I use half of this ultra wear additive into that full gallon, mix that, and then it's 2 parts of that mixture to 1 part of hardener in a tray. This stuff is apparently pretty heavy and will fall out of suspension, so I have to mix it every single time I come back for more. So that's good. I'm glad I stopped and checked that so I get this right, because this would be a pretty expensive mistake. So now we can get back to it. I'm gonna get gloves, and I'm probably gonna stop talking at this point and put a respirator on because this stuff stinks. Well, it's about 2 weeks or so later, and garage is dry. We've been using it, and I gotta say, I think it's pretty good looking. Actually, the hardest part about the whole process was putting down that final clear coat, the military 2-part military top coat, because it's so clear, it goes on like water, and you can't see where you've painted or how much you're putting on or any kind of spots you missed. And so you kind of get the whole thing done. And the day after, when I could walk on it, I started looking around, and there were spots that I could see that I could miss. And the only way I could tell that I could miss was because there was no kind of like grit in that area, which is the anti-slip additive. So that part was a little bit harder, and it took more time than I thought, because I had to go back 2 days, the day after I finished and then the day after that as well, to kind of go back and touch up things. But overall, like, I'm pretty impressed with it. It wasn't that difficult of a job. I can already see it's been raining a little bit, and when we park in here, the water kind of pools up instead of soaks in, so I know the coating is doing its job. I haven't noticed any issues with slipping or anything, but you know, it's enough of talking for me. Let's take a look at the end result. So let's see if we can get a better angle from over here. Definitely makes the space look cleaner. It's definitely brightens the space up. The light in here reflects a little bit better. Let me see if I can actually show you some of the texture. I don't know if you can see it in the light there, or maybe over here. But there's actually like a fine little grit that looks like sand in the clear coat. So next thing that we're doing, I'm actually in the middle of doing the lighting in here, or starting to do the lighting, so that's going to get improved in that. You guys will see that coming up shortly. But all in all, it was about $1,000, a couple hours of effort. Really, the thing that took the most time was just waiting for it to dry, but I gotta say the end result looks pretty spectacular and I'm happy with it. And it's definitely something that if you can paint a wall, you can put down one of these style kits. It wasn't really that difficult. So if you stuck through the whole video, thank you very much for watching. If you want to see what else I'm doing with the garage, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.